Hello and welcome to the Bubbling Up Podcast, a show about the people and places of Hot Springs, South Dakota, and the Southern Black Hills. I'm your host, Justin Gosman, and this show is coordinated through the Hot Springs Area Chamber of Commerce. Bubble Up. The Cambridge Dictionary defines bubble up as to rise to the surface or to become obvious. And that's why this show came about. I want the stories behind our fascinating small South Dakota town to rise to the surface and be heard. Hot Springs, South Dakota, population 3,460 today, is a community in the southwestern corner of South Dakota, about 50 miles south of Mount Rushmore. Founded in 1890, we got our name from, you guessed it, naturally warm mineral springs that bubble up from underground. The stories seem endless, and it's my hope that this show will enlighten not only the fellow residents of and potential visitors to Hot Springs as to the intriguing history of our community, but also to its ongoing inner workings today, the stories behind our local businesses and nonprofit organizations and events, the voices that make a community what it is, and that are working to make it what it can be. I hope you'll join me on this journey. So I'm sitting down with Diane. Diane, thank you for being here this morning.
It's wonderful to be here
Awesome.
on this icy day.
It's a little chilly out.
Well, yes, but we didn't get the snow. So
That's true. We didn't get as much as everywhere else. We lucked out on that. So you have been in the community for as long as I can remember. I remember as a kid coming into Black Hills Books and Treasures and just enjoying it in there. But I wanted to get you on the show to just talk about some of the things that you've been involved in the community over the years. Not just Black Hills Books and Treasures, but the Cultural Development Organization, which people know the work of the CDO, but they don't necessarily know that the CDO is the organization behind it. The brains are actually at the CDO. But then also some of the other things that you've been involved in. Right now you're the president of Rotary.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess the first question I had was, how did you get to the Hot Springs area?
Well, it's kind of a long story that I'll make really short. We were, my husband and I, Rich, lived in Cedar Rapids, Iowa at the time, and we were on our way to Salt Lake City for a conference. We stopped in the Black Hills. Mm-hmm. We stayed at the Alex Johnson, and we toured all the way to Custer. When we went to visit our friends in Laramie, the newspaper had land for sale in the Black Hills. Long story short, we came back through on our way back during the August Sturgis, the first weekend of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. We saw some land which is now Pine Shadows.
Ah.
We purchased in 1997. So then we started coming out here on a regular basis. Every time we would drive in for the weekend. Mm-hmm. And we just fell in love with the place. Then we decided we wanted to open up a business. And in 2000, we were able to go ahead and where the Red Rock River Resort and the 1891 Steakhouse is, we were able to rent that place, and we put in Black Hills Books and Treasures. As a matter of fact, the postcard that is that we see right there has the little tiny raspberry colored sign that has Black Hills Books and Treasures on it. So
oh, wow.
That was our start, and that was we started in 2000, September of 2000.
Wow.
So we moved over to our Chicago, 112 South Chicago Street, which was a clothing store. Mm-hmm, we moved over there in November, opened November of 2002. So it's been there ever since.
I seem to vaguely remember the first location, but I would have been like 9 or 10 years old at the time.
Yes.
But I think I remember going in there with my mom. But I obviously am way more familiar with the current storefront that's down on South Chicago Street. Why a bookstore? Like, what's been your? Obviously, you like reading, and obviously you like literature, and you like sharing that with others. But what motivated you to? Has it always been like a dream to own a bookstore, or?
Well, actually, it's really a wonderful story because when my husband and I met in Miami, of all places, at a professional development conference down there, one of the first things that we talked about is how much we loved old books. He was a collector, and I always tell people I got married and I had children, but I always loved old books, and I had my favorite little, few books, but he collected rare books. So that was in the first 15 minutes that we ever met,
Wow.
that we ever talked about it. So as we got married and everything else, his mother was his always loved reading and books and everything else,
Yeah.
and so she had wanted a bookstore and said, "Well, Richie, you get the bookstore and I'll run it for you." Well, she passed away the January of the year that we were getting married in 1994. And so it was kind of one of our things. And when we came to Hot Springs, we wanted to, we had a consulting company and we wanted to do a retreat center. But I said, we really need to be downtown. We need to do something for the town. So we decided, we love books, let's do a bookstore. Yeah. I had been in retail in Laramie, Wyoming, and other places. So we had a good background. We had lots of books, and we had a very successful, opening. And even though everybody told us, well, people don't read around here. Well, it's kind of the same way. People just read Kindle on the Kindles. Actually, people are still reading.
We know that not to be true. And listeners listeners who have tuned into earlier episodes of Bubbling Up would obviously know. We talked with Don Johnson at the library, and our usage numbers at the library are just astounding.
Yes.
People, just because you don't see people walking around reading a book like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, head in the book, doesn't mean that it's not happening.
Yeah.
So you got started, and then it's been, what now, 19 years? 20 years? How have things changed over the years? Because you've had that longevity. You're one of the few businesses in town that have had that longevity to continue to see the landscape of the community change. And you've seen so many people go in and out, and some people have hung in there, and some people have left. How have things changed in the community of Hot Springs over the last 20 years in your view?
Well, I think that, obviously, we do have something kind of special. The idea of being able to come in, pick up a book, look at it. A lot of people like to see their books before they buy them. They may buy them online.
I'm one of those people.
Yep. But they like to see them, pick it up, and go, oh, okay, well, oh. And so while they're looking, things have changed, and we've been since we actually opened up, we have been online selling booooks. That has changed a lot because people think that they can just put anything up there. Sometimes, but we've always sold our books on a place. Biblio.com is where we sell them, but they sell online. We also have a website that we developed, and we sell some things off of there. And so
and that website is?
The website is blackhills-books.com.
Okay.
And so. And we know that people. I lived for a long time in Laramie, Wyoming, and I know what it means to only buy from catalogs because you don't have things in your town. Same thing today, and it used to be that people, when there was a storm coming up, that we came out and got our books so that we wouldn't be stuck, in the storm. And now people just kind of go online. But anyway, it's, we have to be adaptable. I've noticed that there were a lot of things. We also sell our local and regional art and things off the wall. We have all of our jewelry is handcrafted, so it's unique items, and it's one of a kind. They're all different. We've always sold twill work from the Red Cloud family to this day, and so it makes having a unique piece.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize that that's what we have.
And you've diversified, you know, beyond books, and
Yes.
that's one thing that's been important, I think, for a storefront like yours, where an important lesson for other folks that are looking to open businesses in small communities like Hot Springs, you know, that you have to look at not only what you want, but also what the community wants, and what the visitors that come to that community are wanting, and giving them what they want. And so, yeah, I definitely have to commend you guys for continuing to grow and evolve over the years. It's just been amazing to watch. Now, one of the other things that you've been involved in is the Cultural Development Organization.
Yes.
So I know that that you weren't the original president. That was Gloria Aspinall.
Yes.
But how did that come about? And it's just so people are aware, the Cultural Development Organization is the group that's responsible for the beautiful murals throughout the downtown, with the exception of, I think, one, which was privately commissioned, but the rest of them are all through the work of the CDO.
Yes.
So tell us how that came about and how you got involved.
Well, it's interesting because as we talked in our meeting today earlier about what can we do with some of these windows, the empty buildings, to get people excited about being there. And one of the things, it was a group of business people. We had a banker, we had artists, and everything that got together. And what we were hoping to do was to save the architectural, the historic, the cultural history of our town, and provide public art.
Yeah.
And we've had fundraisers that would help us go ahead and get the artists. We had some ideas of what we were going to do with some of the empty buildings. Originally, the Oasis of Art was about working with the building owners to provide a place for an artist to go ahead and do their own thing, sell their art, and kind of give back to the community, also making the building available for people to think outside of the box, and maybe, so it was an economic development kind of thing. So also with the tourists and everything else. So one of the things that we first got started with was a mural, and that basically developed into our call for artists, and the building owners getting involved, and other people. Some we've had commissioned by people, individuals. And so there's been a number of different things, and now they bookend all the areas of our town. And there's a lot of things that we'd really like to do as far as providing more public art, and so many buildings that maybe we could do some wrapped canvases with existing art. The preservation of Robert Gossel's big huge mural from the State Home.
Yep.
That's another thing that could be done. We have some 3D stuff that the Mammoth site is doing with metal that we could do things like maybe a balloon or other types of things where we could get people mammoths. We need the mammoths and other types of things downtown, the horses. Yeah. So there's just a lot of different things that could be done. Yeah. And maybe even getting artists to do some painting on windows of the empty buildings, some of the empty buildings, to get people involved so that people are interested in coming. We have so much history in each of our buildings and our town, and we've got the water and the beautiful walkways and everything else. So, having those windows with artists displaying their art is it's another opportunity.
Cool, yeah,
another opportunity.
That's what I love about all of the projects that CDO has done, is that it's a celebration of our cultural history and our actual history, but embracing that and showing it to both visitors and locals alike that we are proud of that, and that we take pride in our community. And one of the coolest things that as far as the murals, so like I'll tell you two quick stories. The one story was the first mural that I remember that went up was the one that is currently on the side of what's now Sancho's, and that was Fall River Falls, which is, if you go out there, you can still see down into that area. It's out on the Jensen Highway. The old Fall River Road, heading out towards Maverick Junction or towards Coffee Cup, probably. We all still call it Maverick. But I remember when that first came out, because it's right there next to the movie theater. I remember one night coming out of the movie. I don't remember what movie I saw, but I remember coming out, walking past the mural, and being scared to death because he had painted those two women right there, and I thought that they were like these two ghosts. And I was like 13 years old. I was a kid, and so that's a memorable memory. But then the other one, like now as a professional working in the industry in Hot Springs, I get to watch on social media people come into the community and share this out on Instagram and out on Facebook and out to the rest of the world. And the Spirit of the Springs is one of the very popular ones. There's the one at Evans Plunge, which is extremely popular. The Bison one is definitely far and away the most popular on social media, but it's so striking, like it's so vivid and colorful. And I know that there have been some people that had squawked about, how vivid and bright it was at the time, but it really stands out, and it really makes it something unique that only we have only in Hot Springs.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. One of the things, and speaking of that, you said kind of interacting with that. All of these murals have part of it that we want you to interpret and be part of.
Yes.
So at the Evans Plunge, there's a place where you can actually hold on to the ring
Yeah.
and get your picture taken. And we want you to experience. I mean, that eye of the bison actually follows you, and there's a little slight smile you can watch, for him. But then when you're standing there in front of that, getting your picture taken, you can see the beautiful From Sea to Shining Sea on the American Legion.
That's one of my favorites too.
And that is. You can stand and be part of all the different pieces of history, and you can feel the wind whipping that flag.
Yeah.
The peaceful scene of the teepees along the river on the Barnyard Vet building as you're coming down, and you eventually get to the river, and that whole part of people came here for the water, and and that's getting people experienced in all of that. All of them have something. Being able to envision yourself on that busy street on Ace Hardware,
That's another one of my
and
favorites.
the other Gillespie, the old Gillespie Hotel that was there, and the many people that came here. It's called Chicago Street because the butlers used to come with all the big trunks and everything else, and
It was like little
take
Chicago.
Care. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a little Chicago. So anyway, it's just and that was the other thing is experiencing that history, of our area, and I think that's what's most important.
Absolutely. So what else have you been involved in? Like I said earlier, you're the president of Rotary, and obviously you've got a lot of projects going with that. Climb Hot Springs this year is shaping up to be a good event. That's going to be September 21st.
Yes.
So what else have you been up to?
Yes, and I think the Rotary it's really important to Rotary is a service club. It's an international club. It's based on people that in business who wanted to be part of the greater Hot Springs, be part of community, and be part of service above self. And I think what's really interesting about a lot of the service groups, we do different types of things in and around Hot Springs. You'll see our little Rotary sign, which is on a lot of the picnic shelters and the bathrooms and now the covered stage at the
Yes.
at Centennial Park. So these are all things that the entire all the public can go ahead and enjoy, and that's what we're all about. We also have a big push for peace and health. Polio, we've been trying to eradicate. It's it's coming to a close, and just a few. It's to a point where we want to totally eradicate.
Yeah.
And that's been part of what we do as
Absolutely.
a global type
Organization.
of thing.
Yeah.
So. And we'd like to get more people in the community. It's not belonging to a club as much as it is belonging to the global community.
Yeah.
And seeing the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what it's kind of all about. And Climb Hot Springs, we're trying to make this into a very big event this year. We're one of only 2 places in the whole United States that have outdoor real staircases that you do. The other one is Bisbee, Arizona. And of course, they have been very, very famous. They're a teeny tiny town that really blossoms in October. But anyway, we are not only having that race goes all through the town and everything. We're planning on having some vendors. And for food and drink in the Centennial Park area.
Yeah.
It's going to continue to grow, and we'd like to, we're going to cap it at 250 this year. And we're really trying to get that out. It's, again, the money goes back into Rotary, where we provide scholarships we provide at least 2 scholarships right now to the high school seniors.
Yep.
And we also provide money for teachers to go ahead and provide for some of the other things. We do other types of projects for the whole community.
Absolutely. So if folks want to know more about Rotary, where would they go to? Or who would they reach out to?
Well, we've got things online at Rotary, Rotary.org. Our private club, there's a number of us. You can reach out to myself or a number of other Rotary members. We meet at 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning on Thursdays at Dale's. And, like I say, most people don't have anything going on at 7 o'clock except they want to sleep, but that's a good time for us, especially if you have to go to work at 8 o'clock.
Right.
So, anyway.
Very cool. And then Climb Hot Springs has its own dedicated website, right?
Yes, and we're in the process of getting, if you go to the website, it still has 2018, but you can press register, and it goes right to It's Your Race, and you can register for the race there.
Okay.
Headquarters is going to be High Mountain Outfitters, and we're working on getting some brochures in there, so you can register that way, and we'll have some other things going. There's a Facebook page. Yep. So
I know that's very active. As you continue to get new information about what's going to be available this year for the Climb Hot Springs, not just that specific day, but the events surrounding it.
Yes.
Because there's a lot more than just the climb itself. There's a lot more that other people can do.
Yes.
And then with CDO, if folks want to know more about CDO, I think it's hotspringscdo.org, right?
I
think that's right.
Yes,
yeah.
I think so.
And you can check out information there about, I know each of the murals has their own separate kind of listing, and you can see pictures of like some of them in progress. And I know there's a Facebook page as well. And then, of course, lastly, if people want to know more about Black Hills Books and Treasures, what's the address? Where can they go to? It's
112 South Chicago Street, right there across from Wells Fargo Bank. And we have plenty of parking. You can park in the parking lot there. And we're open Tuesday through Saturday. we also have the website, blackhills-books.com, and you can do an email there too.
Fantastic. And so the last question I always ask everyone who comes on the show is, and this may be a difficult one for you because I know that you could go forever on this, but what have been your favorite things about living in the Hot Springs area?
You know, Hot Springs is just one of those towns that is so friendly, and I have people all the time that come into the bookstore and say there's something special about this town, and there's a draw. It's peaceful, it's quiet.
Yeah.
I've seen fellows from the domiciliary up at the VA when they have their first chance to come downtown. And they love being here because it is peaceful and quiet. It's a small town. Sometimes, you know, when you don't know what you're doing wrong, someone's going to tell you because you're in a small town. But it's also, you've got your own, you know, we live just at the edge of town, and it's very private. Again, it's quiet, peaceful, and it's safe.
Yeah.
It's a great place to raise children, and we know that. We want, you know, it'd be nice to get some of our families back in and stuff like that. But it's also a great place to come. And now that the Evans Plunge is open all year, it's a wonderful. People are coming. They come all times of the year.
Yeah.
You know, to go.
Absolutely.
And it's very. It's a close-knit town, and I guess that's what's so wonderful. It also, there's so much potential. We have a business, consulting business, that we work out of our home, and we have a back office that's in Utah, in three different places in Utah. And we go nationally. We travel to our clients.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that are tucked in Hot Springs that are either artists or have businesses
they
that
don't
are global.
necessarily have storefronts, but they're operating businesses from Hot Springs.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. And they love living here. And that's what's really great. And there are things tucked in everywhere. And sometimes you go up where we live and you go up, take a look.
It is creepy how it almost, like, literally, you can sometimes find people crawling out of the woodwork. Like, it's great because they do. People just tuck themselves. Yeah. So, well, thank you for sitting down with me, Diane, and wish you the best of luck on everything this year as you move forward, and hope that this year will be another great year for everything you do and for you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.